This is the second video in the Introduction to Market Structures lesson. Having in the first one established what market structures mean, what they're about, this and the next three will each be looking at one of the four main market structures that we learn about in A-level economics. So we're going to be looking at all four that are shown here, from one extreme, perfect competition, to the other, monopoly. And the key features that we'll be considering that differ between each of them are to do with the market power for the producers and consumers, the barriers to entry, their efficiency, and the contestability between them. So we're going to start with perfect competition at the left-hand end of the spectrum there. We're going to think about, imagine that you wanted to grow and sell carrots. You want to start up your own business, and growing and selling carrots is what you've chosen to do. So let's think about what you need. What resources, what factors of production do you need available? Do you think you could get on and do it? So quick exercise here, pause the video for a moment, make a list of the things that you would need in order to start growing and selling carrots, and restart when you're ready. So you probably have a list that looks a little bit like this. Something that you would certainly need are some seeds, some carrot seeds. You need water to enable them to grow. You either need some compost to put in the pots, or you might have put down that you need a field or a farm or some land, and you need some sunlight to encourage the seeds to grow. So if that's all you need, well, what's stopping you? You know, in theory, anyone could begin to grow and sell carrots. Some of you may already do so at home. And this is because this market closely resembles what we call a perfectly competitive market. So this slide gives us the features or the assumptions in a perfectly competitive market, and you should take note of these because this is what determines the type of market structure that we're talking about. So the first point is that there will be a large number of firms, but none of them have any particular market power. They can't influence the market on their own because they only have a very small market share. That means, second point, that they're price takers. They all have to sell at the going rate in the market. They can't sell at a higher price. One of the reasons for that is that they're producing homogeneous products. There's no variation between the products produced by one business, one firm, compared with another one. As far as the customer is concerned, they could buy from either of them. There are also no barriers to entry or exit. That means that firms easily can enter and leave the market with no particular difficulty or costs. Part of that is the factors of production, the land, labour, capital and enterprise have perpetual mobility. They can be used in this market or in another market with no problem at all. There's no need to spend money on advertising for the business because the products are all homogeneous, they're all being sold at the same price, so why would you bother to spend money on advertising your products? And also there's no customer loyalty. So as far as the customer is concerned, doesn't matter who they go to buy the goods, they'll choose who's ever nearest or most convenient to them. So now we've got the assumptions or the features of a perfectly competitive market. Can you use those, look through that list of 7 features to explain why we suggested that agricultural products like carrots could be classed as at least near to perfect competition? Pause the video for a moment, have a look through those 7 features and think about how you would apply them to that particular market for growing carrots, and then restart when you're ready. Here are our thoughts about the carrot market and why it fits with perfect competition. First of all, carrots are homogeneous, so each one is a perfect substitute for another. There's very little to choose between carrots from one grower or another. Secondly, across the top there, all the sellers or all the growers have access to factors of production. So they can all get the seeds, they've all got sort of equal access to the sunlight, the rain and so on. in the case of carrots and many other agricultural products, consumers don't generally have any brand loyalty to one particular seller or one particular brand. It's not a product that tends to be branded. And there are no particular entry barriers. We established that with the exercise that you did earlier, that it's easy to get into the market. And then finally, if a carrot producer wanted to try and leave that particular market, the factors of production he's using could be put to another use. He could use them to grow potatoes or cauliflowers or lettuces instead. So there's not a barrier to exit. So that just gives you a brief introduction to the features of perfect competition. In a later lesson further into the course, you'll be learning far more about it, but just as an introduction for the moment. In the next video in this series, we'll be looking at the market structure at the other end of the spectrum of competition, monopoly.